Salam, shalom. First of all, my talk is going to be in English. First of all, I would like to thank all the organizers from both sides, from Morocco and from Israel, for the great work that has been done to make this conference an extraordinary success. I would like to give special thanks to Mr. Shimon, to C. Plausitan, to C. Abraham, Mr. Shimon, and all the other organizers from both sides. Okay, thank you. So, my talk is going to be about integrating the Jewish culture, okay, integrating the Jewish culture in the curriculum and the Moroccan school textbook. I would say first that 20 years ago, if you say to anyone in Morocco that we are going to integrate the Jewish culture in textbooks, no one would believe you. Everyone would say, or almost everyone would say, that is not possible. But now the dream has come true. How come? The answer lies first in the Moroccan constitution, which states plainly the constitution, which was adopted in 2011, clearly states, I read in the preamble, that its, which means Morocco, its Moroccan unity is forged by the convergence of its Arab, Islamist, Berber, means Amazigh, and Sahara Hassani components, nourished and enriched by its African, Andalusian, Hebraic, and Mediterranean influence. So you see here, for the first time, Hebraic components of the Moroccan culture is mentioned, and this is unique. We can't find it in any constitution in the Muslim or the Arab world. The story began like this, and then after that, the Ministry of Education has to implement this notion in textbooks and in the curriculum. But how can we do it? We can do it in two ways. First, integrating it in different activities in textbooks, especially for elementary classes. We are going to move after that to intermediate classes, and then to advanced classes, and then to university. So there is a schedule, a plan made by the Ministry of Education, so that this important component of the Moroccan culture should be integrated in all levels of education. The story begins when His Majesty, the King, visited Beit Dakira. It's the house of memory of the Jewish heritage in Morocco on 15 January 20. That was the beginning. And then this notion of the Jewish culture has to be implemented in textbooks. So I'm going to move a little bit from what is theoretical to something which is practical, especially in textbooks. So the first thing which anyone would ask is, why integrating these important components in textbooks? There are many reasons, of course. Now I'm going to mention only 3 reasons. Of course, there are many other reasons. First of all, this is the first reason, or the first objective, if you want. We want to teach and sensitize our students and the future generation about the history of our country, which is founded on the principles of tolerance and coexistence. Somebody this morning mentioned something very important. He talked about the new generation in Morocco who don't know almost nothing about this Jewish heritage. Now, this is one of the reasons. We want to make them aware and sensibilize them to this culture. The second objective, or the second aim, is to revive. This is very important. The word to revive is very important. To revive the Jewish cultural heritage, which is rich and which dates back to more than 2,000 years ago. Of course, more than 2,000. Sorry. So there is a problem with that. Can you help, please? Ah. There's a problem. Okay. We have two reasons. We have three reasons, but here I can say only two. But it doesn't matter. We can move. So I'm going to give you an example from a book of history and geography. This is for students aged between 8 and 12. And we are going to see some activities. Here we have, as an activity in the book, we have an extract from His Majesty's speech on 25 January 2011 in the conference about the rights of religious minorities in the Islamic region, which is used as a source text in the aforementioned students' book. And here we have a text, a reading text, with questions about these citations. This is the text. It is written in Arabic. Now we have the translation here. The history of Morocco has known a distinct, this is his the king's speech, okay? The history of Morocco has known a distinct civilized model in the field of coexistence and interaction of Muslim with people of other religions, especially Jews and Christians. Among the bright eras in the history of this coexistence was what resulted in the convergence of building the Moroccan Andalusian civilization, where trade, industries, arts, and the exchange of the fruits of wisdom, philosophy, and science flourished between the various communities. Now, this morning and yesterday, okay, a lot of people talked about these events. Now here, another activity requiring students, this is sort of brainstorming, it's a warm-up for another text. It's an activity where requiring students to extract instances of tolerance and coexistence from pictures. You have pictures, and these students have to depict cases of tolerance, tolerance, coexistence, equality, and many other values in this lesson. So as you see, you have pictures, and you have they have to talk about, for example, coexistence, tolerance. You have to talk about quality, inequality, intolerance, respecting people's opinion, respecting people's people, regardless of their race or religion or color of the skin, etc., etc. Here, another, in the same lesson, as a follow-up, means as a summary or a synopsis of this lesson, you have an activity. This is about civic education, which was introduced lately in the Moroccan textbooks. A follow-up activity on civic education where students are asked to conduct a search at www.maroc.ma for more information about the significance and meaning of these two great events, two extraordinary events you have here. The first one is the visit of the king to Beit Takira, and the other one is the visit of the Pope to Morocco. And then students have to conduct research and to talk about these two great events in the modern history of Morocco. Here you have, this is another lesson for level 4 grade, that means students aged 11, primary school. The subject is Arabic, and the language skill which is developed in this lesson is reading. And the text, the target objective is to introduce the learner to a brief history of the Moroccan Jewish music and receive their feedback about its interaction with other Moroccan music types. Okay? So this is very important. So we are exposing students to one of the components of the, or one of the facets of the Moroccan music, which is very rich, which is the Andalusian music and Jewish Andalusian music, and then they have to compare it to other types of Moroccan music. Another lesson here, this is another lesson where the target is developing the reading skill. And here we have a picture of one of the greatest talented Moroccan artist, Jewish artist, called Gad Maleh. Probably you know him. He is from Casablanca. He immigrated to France, where he lives now, and he is famous throughout the world now, even in other countries. With a picture, when Gad Maleh came to Morocco, he went to see the maid who brought him up. And we have here a picture of him with this maid. And we have different pictures of Gad Maleh. Okay? And then we have a text, a biography of Gad Maleh. The objective of this lesson is to make students aware of the fact that there are Jewish artists in Morocco. They don't know that before. So now they know it, and they are asked to conduct research in this respect. Another example in history and geography here, this is I find it very, very interesting. The title of the lesson is My Identity, I'm Moroccan, the components of our identity, level grade 4, that means students aged 10. The objective of the lesson is to discover the various components and sources of the Moroccan identity based on the Moroccan constitution, which I have just talked about. Extract them and specify the impact of its diversity on the consolidation of the Moroccan national integrity. This is very important. The aim, or the main objective of exposing students to different components of the Moroccan culture is that we want them to know that within these components there is a unity of the nation. So the dialogue is as follows. This is a rough translation of the dialogue. As you see first, this is a picture of different students with Moroccan flag. And then you have the dialogue. The dialogue is about introducing yourself. So the teacher, let's introduce ourselves. Student 1, I am Mohamed Diouf, I'm Moroccan Muslim from Senegali origins. Students 2, I am Omar Skat, I'm Moroccan Muslim from Arab origins. Students 3, I'm Khadija Aitider, I'm Moroccan Muslim from Amazigh. Students 4, I am Daoud David Belhaim, I am Moroccan Jew. Students 5, I am Fatima Al-Ainin, I am Moroccan Muslim from Hassani origins. And students, the last students, I am Nizhat Torres, I am Moroccan Muslim from Andalusian origins. So you see here in this dialogue we have students from different origins, and that dialogue depicts clearly the whole components of the Moroccan identity. This dialogue is exchange which caters to the level of the learners. Worth mentioning is the fact that this lesson is given primary attention by being the first lesson on the subject of civic education, and it's consolidated by other reading interactive materials such as the following.
5 minutes?
Okay, I try to be as brief as possible.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, let's move to this. Here we have some, because these changes, a lot of newspapers and magazines talked about these changes in the textbook, school textbooks and in the curriculum. And here we have some of the newspapers and magazines which are mentioned here, like the newspaper His Press, the Ministry of National Education, Vocational Training, Higher Education and Scientific Research has changed to the curriculum to include Jewish heritage and history, and to promote talks about the Hebrew component, etc., etc. Here you have another channel, Sky News Arabia, talks about the subject, and also France 24 talks a lot about this subject. So since I haven't much time to finish this presentation, I would like to confine myself to this limit here, but I would like in the end to present to you a very brief video which was prepared by the Club of Coexistence and Tolerance in my school, which was the first club in Morocco, and it is dedicated to all of you. Thank you very much. Can we have the video, please?
الثانية والبنينيني والناعورة.
There is no doubt that our world today is in strong need of effective tolerance and peaceful coexistence among all groups of people of different religions and races more than ever. The interaction between cultures and civilizations has increased day after day due to the information and communication revolution. The technology revolution has enabled everyone to live in a small cosmic village, which requires everyone to interact and cooperate for a happy, secure life in a promising, better and more prosperous future. In this regard, Morocco is turning to making its educational institutions a wonderful space to spread the values of tolerance, coexistence, and respect of the principle of pluralism. After the kingdom adopted during the current school season the teaching of the history of Idris the Jew in the school curricula is an unprecedented step in the field of education. So, within the framework of the activities carried out by Arkansas Preparatory High School, and in order to activate the Ministerial Memorandum 1932, the Framework Law number 5117, and the Regional Memorandum, the Club of Tolerance and Coexistence in Diversity was established in the institution within the framework of the implementation of partnership and cooperation agreement signed between the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, Higher Education and Scientific Research, and the Center for Studies and Research in Hebrew Law in Morocco, and Essaouira Mogador Association.
Hello everyone, my name is Mina. I'm 16 years old and this is my third and last year at Arkansas High School. And I'm a member of the Coexistence and Tolerance Club of the school. And I'm here today to talk about two main subjects. The first is the three main activities that our club has been attending, participating into for the past year. And second of all, I will talk shortly about my experience and what I've learned by being a member of this club. Let's get started. Our club, like the name shows, is a club which main goal is to show the importance of tolerance, coexistence, and respect of different religions, race, and ethnicity in our society. And also our club has been attending and doing a lot of activities, but today I would only talk about the three main activities that we have been doing. The first was held at Beit Dakira, where some of the members of our club, including me, has been presenting a PowerPoint, aka presentation, about how each religion see each other and see the concept of peace and coexistence. The second activity was held on the 8th March, the International Women's Day, where we have been discussing mainly the role of the women in our society, all of the achievements that the women has been achieved so far in Morocco, and what did the women to improve our society. It was indeed a very big honor for us to attend and participate in this meaningful day. Last but not least, the activity was a play, still at Beit Dakira, which held the context that is still the same, coexistence and tolerance, but not only for religion, but also for race and people that have some disabilities in life. That's all for the activities. Of course, not all of them. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend to all of the activities due to my studies because we had a very important exam at the end of the year. But I'm still very honored that I've attended to these activities, and I'm thankful for my club for the opportunity. Lastly, I would like to talk about my experience very shortly. It was a very meaningful and unforgettable experience. I've learned a lot of things, and what I've gained by being a member of this club is that it's helped me by doing all of these researches on how to educate myself and how to be a more open-minded person. Thank you so much for listening.
Hi, my name is Hibabi Ghurban. I'm 16 years old. I'm in my last year in high school. I'm here to present the first club in Morocco of tolerance and coexistence between religions. The reason of creating this club is to educate people to respect more of the other religion, their beliefs. Among the activity that we did in the last year is a presentation at Beit Dakira, and we did talk about the relationship between Islam and Judaism, and we did talk about how to respect more the other religion, and we did also a visitation to Otriט Sofitel, and we did talk about the role of women in our society. And I think what I did learn from this club is to never say this religion is bad because of a person's bad action, because he's not represent himself, but he presents himself not a religion. So we cannot say never this religion is bad because of that person. And thank you.